Having been creating videos on YouTube for nearly 5 years, specifically about living in Fort Collins, Northern Colorado, there are no shortage of haters that talk to me about how horrible the area is for one reason or another. Now, I will say it's far outweighed by those that love the area, but I would say there are some specific folks that are loud about why this area sucks. So if you're considering making a move to Northern Colorado, I'm guessing you're doing a significant amount of research about the area. And like I discussed before on the last video about living in Northern Colorado, while I live in Fort Collins, I am living in Northern Colorado. And here are 7 pros and 9 cons about living in Northern Colorado. And if you have any questions about any of these, give me a call, text, or email. My team a call, text, or email. We are licensed real estate agents in the state of Colorado. So if you're considering making that move, reach out to us. We'd love to be a resource and an asset on your team while making that move or consideration. Without any further delay, let's jump into today's video, pros and cons of living in Northern Colorado 2024. Let's go. We're gonna jump back and forth between pros and cons and keep it light, but make sure you stick around for the last pro and last con, as I think it's probably the most important reason why people move to Northern Colorado, and also one of the most important reasons why Colorado and Northern Colorado might be a consideration not to move to. So here we go. All right, number 1, the municipalities are benefiting from each other's growth. We are seeing places like Timnath, Colorado have over 1,000% increase in population, from nearly 500 people in 2011 to close to 10,000 people today. And Windsor is a similar deal, where it was originally a bedroom community to Fort Collins, but essentially now is a 42,000 person populace with a good commercial center, good school systems, and strong current and future economic growth opportunities. Berthoud, Colorado, stuck between Longmont and Loveland, is really benefiting from a wonderful topography along the Front Range, wonderful views. TPC Colorado has grown there, and we are just seeing communities that aren't these huge hubs that are growing and becoming their own strong, independent communities because of the strength of kind of the original hubs, which are Fort Collins, Loveland, and Greeley. But no community is created equal, and each of these have their own municipalities, town halls, town governments, city councils, and they make these big decisions like city sales tax that could impact how the city is operated and where those funds go to. And you could have a small city sales tax like Loveland, close to 3%, but nearly 180,000 people or so. Or Fort Collins, where you have the highest sales tax of 4.35% and 180,000 people, but a strong focus on building this quality of life lifestyle. Or Timnath, Colorado, that's absolutely flush with cash, where their city expenditures are almost nothing, will have been for many, many years, but had places like Walmart and Costco come and just drive up revenue. And so I would suggest looking at places like Windsor, Colorado, that actually had a town meeting and city council put a proclamation saying no more converting commercial land to residential, because we need people to shop in Windsor, Colorado and retain that sales tax. So make sure you're kind of exploring these areas. Maybe you want to save money if you're going to the grocery store or convenience store and spending in the retailers and want to save money on some of that sales tax. Or you like some of the amenities and places where dollars are being spent, like in Colorado with sidewalks, curbs, gutters, public transportation, art in public places, amongst many other things that these sales tax dollars go to. But make sure you're checking to see where the sales tax are going within these municipalities. All right, a pro, the Northern Colorado region, similar to the greater Denver area of Arvada, Aurora, Lakewood, Broomfield, Westminster, Thornton. Well, the Northern Colorado region of Greeley, Fort Collins, Loveland, Windsor, Wellington, Timnath, Berthoud, Johnstown, Estes Park, Red Feather It's this region of economic activity that really all benefit each other. Bass Pro Shops and Embassy Suites near US 34 and Centera isn't there because of Loveland. It's there because it's benefiting from Greeley and Windsor and Fort Collins and Loveland. Whereas Shields on US 34 and Johnstown, and like we talked about on a previous video, Buc-ee's, who has a 60-mile radius that they look at and say, hey, Cheyenne's gonna come here, Denver's gonna come here, Greeley's gonna come here. We are this regional economic environment that I could see myself, which I do, see myself coaching soccer in Windsor, Colorado, having boxed in Greeley, Colorado. I live in Fort Collins, have a cabin in Red Feather, go and spend time in Estes Park, have lived and have team members who live in Loveland. It is a regional economic center. So if you're living here, you don't eat, sleep, play in, let's say, Houston. You eat, sleep, play in Northern Colorado. But with that comes the traffic and infrastructure issue. I will say that Northern Colorado has experienced pretty dramatic population growth. And with that, it feels like we are about a decade behind where we need to be on I-25. We've widened the highway and interstate between Prospect Road all the way to Berthoud. We still have about a 9-mile stretch from Berthoud to Meade, but then from Meade to Denver, we have 3 lanes wide going north and south all the way. So we're almost to having 3 lanes all the way from Fort Collins to Denver, but we're not there yet. And by the time that it gets all built out by 2029, we might need 4 lanes. In places like Windsor, city planning isn't necessarily done a great job, and there's really nothing that they can do at this time because you have a 100-year-old building with a 40,000 person town. A lot of it's being built on the east side, a lot of it's being built on the west side, and there's really no roundabout pass. And Fort Collins, heading all the way from the southeast all the way north to Eagle Lake, is going to take about 30 minutes. And if you've got to go through downtown, just plan on having some stops. And then US 34 and I-25, huge economic activity. Harmony Road and I-25 to Timnath, Colorado, which is definitely still more of a bedroom community, can experience a lot of traffic on that time period. So I will say, being a local, born and raised here in Fort Collins, Colorado, can see traffic and infrastructure in Northern Colorado. All right, we're gonna jump into the pro of growth. And with that comes these amenities. With a region of nearing 1 million people, and we'll be at 1 million people sooner than later, we get places like a Bass Pro Shops, a Buc-ee's, Shields, along with other developers who want to build world-class hotels and water theme parks in Greeley, Colorado. And then you've got places like New Belgium that set home here, Woodward Governor that has decided to have a world headquarters here, and developers making their way to Northern Colorado because of the growth and desirability of the area. But with that pro of growth, we also have a con of growth. We already talked about it with the traffic and infrastructure. We also need to talk about the city planning because these areas are growing exponentially fast, like Timnath, Colorado, between 500 people in 2011 to nearly 10,000 people today. Now, I think they've done a pretty good job, but it can quickly get out of hand because, well, shoot, we didn't realize this area was going to grow as fast as we can, and now we need to have not 1 lane each way, we need 2 lanes, but it's too late, and now we're stuck kind of where we're at. So I would say city planning is probably one of the things that I think Loveland lacks least as far as in the past. I think currently they're doing a phenomenal job and doing a great job now and into the future, but they have a lot of kind of redevelopment that needs to happen. And that can kind of go to show that too much growth too fast can cause a lot of pressure on city planning, city councils, town councils, and unless they are ready to take on those challenges, could present future problems. All right, I think this pro goes without saying because it's one of the main things that people find themselves moving to the area for, and that is education. Whether that individual is coming to go to school at University of Northern Colorado or a tier 1 research institution for Colorado State University. They find themselves coming to those 2 universities, or raising a family and wanting their kids to be in the Poudre School District, Weld County RE4, Weld County RE6, Thompson Valley School District. The overall safety, security, test scores, graduation rates between those 4 school system, public school systems or school districts, among others, is one of the many reasons that people find themselves desiring to move to the Northern Colorado area. We're gonna drop in 2 cons because, like I said, we've got 7 pros but 9 cons. And that would be the competition between communities. There are communities that are definitely wanting to open the doors to development. Timnath, for example, it takes only about 12 months from the conceptual design of a development and or house to putting a shovel in the dirt, comparatively to Fort Collins that could easily see 3 to 4 years. And as a developer, we've talked with home builders and developers that are like, you know what, I really don't want to build in Fort Collins. Too much time, too much city input, neighborhood input. I can't make everybody happy, and there's no real clear course. And then you got places like Greeley that are saying, hey, Loveland, if Loveland's putting up a fight, and they don't want these commercial opportunities to come there, like Centerra South or Martin Lynn's development of his hotel and water park, he's saying, we're going to go to Greeley that's opening and welcoming us with open arms. And I think that's a good thing. It keeps municipalities kind of in check, but it would also cause some con number 2 of this section of housing and rental prices. Our housing prices in Fort Collins continue to increase. Well, because that 3 to 4 year time development, we just can't build houses fast enough. Whereas in places like Timnath with the fast growth, we actually are seeing housing prices in Timnath keep pace and exceed Fort Collins, and rental rates have no ease as well. So living in Northern Colorado, I think at this point we have seen some flatlining over the last 18 to 20 months. As far as home appreciation, we have seen some definite increases in rental rates, but for the last 18 to 20 months, we've seen some flatlining, but housing prices and the cost of living, because mostly of housing prices in Northern Colorado, is consistently one of the things that people have to understand and overcome if they want to move in and live in the area. Now, I've lived in Fort Collins, born and raised here my entire life, 35 years. And a couple of different times we've had Allegiant. When I was 21 years old, we took the Allegiant Air to Las Vegas. A few years ago, there was Avelo that went to both Hollywood Burbank and I believe it was Las Vegas, or maybe it was Scottsdale. But regardless, we've had a regional airport, the Fort Collins Loveland Airport, which is 2 municipalities that own it, operate this airport. But there's never really been an airline, a commercial airline, that's consistently held ground there. And hopefully that is going to change. I would say one of the pros is our Fort Collins Loveland Regional Airport. We have gotten a $20 million terminal that has 2 gates, as well as the widening of the runway, which will allow for 737 planes, the more typically used airplane for these commercial airlines. And we are working on building either a virtual tower or a physical air tower, which would allow a commercial airline to feel comfortable, safe, and able to operate out of the Fort Collins Loveland Regional Airport. I am being optimistic here, but I am hopeful that this wonderful regional airport will become an opportunity for at least some sort of consistent commercial airline out of Northern Colorado. It was 12 minutes from my front door to the parking lot, and then very, very quickly through the security. And I'm not looking for, needing, or even wanting a 10 flight per day airport. But what we did have of 2 to 4 to 6 flights each week would be pretty awesome. And I am holding out hope for the Fort Collins Loveland Regional Airport. We're gonna hit 2 more cons here so that we can even out on our last few and most important pros and cons in my opinion. But the schlep, a word that a family friend used recently, which I absolutely love, so I had to add it in there. The schlep across Northern Colorado. I was traveling back and forth to Greeley 4 times a week when I was boxing. I was driving from Loveland to downtown Fort Collins, which is 20 minutes. I could find myself coming from here and operating in Johnstown for the listing that we currently have, as well as a few buyers that are under contract on homes at the Revere in Johnstown and Buc-ee's. I head up to Red Feather, which is only 40 to 60 minutes away. But we do have a pretty significant transportation between these municipalities in northern Colorado and somewhat a need to travel in between. So I would say without a really monorail or public transportation system, we do have Transport, the Greeley-Evans Transit, GET, and also the City of Loveland Transportation, COLT, but nothing really quick, fast, easy that can offload some of the traffic and congestions on these roads. I-25, US 34, 257, 287, Highway 14, Highway 85, as we talked about in previous videos for travel. Those are gonna be your main thoroughfares between these areas, and you will find yourself traveling between them. Now, when you travel between these areas, you could find yourself in a storm, which we do have 2 different types of weather events in Fort Collins in northern Colorado, that do cause issues and concerns, which are specifically hail. Hail damage can really drop down anywhere in northern Colorado. Generally speaking, it's a little bit more prevalent east of I-25. We seem to get a little protection on the west side of I-25 from the Front Range Mountains, maybe it jumping over a bit, but there's absolutely a chance that you get smacked with hail on the west side of I-25. And then additionally, I would say one of the things that really is strong in the spring is the wind. And the wind is sometimes unbearable, it's not enjoyable. We've had plenty of seasons, years that we don't have too much wind, but the wind can get just irritating. And I remember just one spring, Janae looking at me like, I am over the wind and I am just wanting to be done with it and into summer. And I was like, I am with you. So I would say those are the 2 weather events that you could find yourself. We've got semis when you're going up 287 to Laramie that get dumped over, that'll get the road shut down. I-25 going to Cheyenne will get shut down because of wind and snow. So I would say a little bit further north, heading north to Wyoming, the wind can be a little bit worse as far as east, and then of course the hail as well. But hey, we do have 4 distinct seasons. And I will say, working with a lot of people moving from Florida, Texas, Arizona, one of the things that they're most excited about are 4 distinct seasons. And fall in Colorado, northern Colorado, is absolutely fabulous. Favorite season by far. Love me some summer. It can get hot during those dog days of summer. Winter, I love it up until about January 2nd. And I'm done with it, over with it. And it come about February 15th, Super Bowl time period. I can't wait till spring gets here. So 45 days of winter gets a little bit old, but 4 distinct seasons. They're wonderful, keeps you on your toes, makes you feel like you're living in a new place kind of every 3 or 4 months. Alrighty, I'm gonna talk about our 2 worst cons before I finish off with probably my most exciting favorite pro. Air quality. Air quality in northern Colorado, it's one of those things where there's lots of different reasons why or theories why, and I'm sure the science is there to support many of these, but Weld County is very oil and gas rich, not seemingly too many restrictions. Larimer County, which actually is shutting down one of its largest oil producing wells in Prospect Energy here very shortly. By the time this video gets released, Prospect Energy should be shut down. But Weld County, you've got fracking, oil operations all over the place. It's a very, very wealthy county, but with it, you do have oil producing, gas emitting wells in Weld County, which finds its way in the air quality in northern Colorado, as well as, during the summers, we have got wildfires, and it feels like it just gets caught up between this higher elevation, the Front Range, heading north. So the air quality in Fort Collins in northern Colorado is definitely something that the city of Fort Collins, among other cities in the northern Colorado region, are working towards with carbon neutral goals of 2050, with net reductions of 80% by 2032. So there are lots of proponents towards cleaner, better areas, but until that time, it's an uphill battle and something to consider. And finally, our last con before we hit our favorite pro, end on a high note and rock and roll out of here, but is we live in a dry, high desert. We have a large growing community. We have water issues. And Fort Collins specifically has historic water rights, as does Greeley. Greeley's kind of the granddaddy of them all. That's where the water court system was founded or initiated, and the history of water is immense. But we've got the Colorado Big Thompson, a provider coming from the western slope, jumping over the Colorado River, which is really pretty cool. We just rode a Telluride and was awesome to see that Colorado River. But it's hotly debated between the lower basin states, higher basin states. We've got the Halligan Reservoir, the Northern Integrated Supply Project, NISP, which is creating the Glade Reservoir and Gallatin Reservoir. Halligan Reservoir for Fort Collins, NISP, which was going to be providing water to 15 water districts in Colorado north of Denver, but water with a growing population, the fight between agriculture and residential use, dry land agriculture where people will buy up farms just for their water rights and then keep that a dry land moving forward. I would say science and technology can't work fast enough to expand the use of one drop of water from maybe 27 uses, talked about that in previous videos, to maybe 35 uses, the reuse of water, the strength of water, and making sure that our natural resources like the Poudre River remain strong and vibrant, and an important part to when we do have those drought seasons. So water in northern Colorado and Colorado in general, definitely something of concern and something that we need to pay attention to. But hey, why does everyone find themselves, not everyone, but many of the people who find themselves moving to northern Colorado do just that? And I would say it is the majority reason why is a lifestyle design. The leisure activities that are available in northern Colorado really don't stop. Let's just go through a list. Rocky Mountain National Park, Poudre River, Horsetooth Reservoir, Carter Lake, Chimney Hollow Reservoir, soon to be Glade Reservoir, Gallatin Reservoir, Windsor Lake, TPC Colorado, among Rain Dance, Pelican Lakes, Highland Meadows, Harmony Golf Club, wonderful golf in northern Colorado. Then you've got Estes Park, which is just a fun place to go hang out. Elk Bugling, Rocky Mountain National Park, just a little bit further west. Red Feather Lakes with Dowdy Lake, Parvin Lake, Boy Scout Road, all of the hiking, outdoor activity there. Crystal Lakes, Glacier View. The trail system that is in Fort Collins is just amazing, the paved trail system. You can take the Poudre Trail system from Greeley to Bellevue, and it's going to be connecting through I-25 here soon enough. The Power Trail from Loveland to Fort Collins is just phenomenal. So the leisure, outdoor focused activities in and around northern Colorado really can't be understated. It's something that you will find yourself going outside with the 300 days of sun, with a dry, arid climate to where you're not sweating as soon as you walk out the door, to really explore and experience the craft beer scene that is the Napa Valley of craft beer in Fort Collins, northern Colorado. It is something that you are going to enjoy, want to do, get involved with other groups and communities. Areas around Fort Collins are really focused on their outdoor, centered around lifestyle design. Alrighty, so there we have it. 7 pros, 9 cons of living in northern Colorado in 2024. If you have any pros or cons that I missed, comment below. And if you find yourself moving to the area, give me and my team a call, text, or an email. And until next time, guys, take care.